How's it going, guys? I'm Robert from Utap Visuals, and today I have a super quick breakdown from a recent project I did with GQ. The shoot was for one of their series called The Breakdown, where experts react to popular movie scenes and analyze its accuracy. In this episode, we were taking a look at famous Vegas gambling scenes with a casino professional. For the shoot, we were using two FX9s. The series usually shoots on FS7, so it was a pretty easy switch. These gigs also generally ask for a set of Cine Primes, so I was happy to bring along my set of Vista Primes. A camera was on a 50 medium shot, while B camera was on the 85. Both of these cameras were fed into a Decimator multiviewer to see both frames concurrently, then to an Utap SDI, which converts an SDI signal to USB so that I'm able to pipe in the feed into Zoom for the client to watch. I've went over this little gadget before, but it's pretty much become a standard part of my kit. It's one of the easiest ways of capturing an SDI signal to your computer, and with everything going on, I don't see remote productions like this going away anytime soon. We did run into some issues with our internet connection because the router was pretty far away, so if you're doing any remote work, I'd recommend hardwiring your internet connection or making sure your router is close enough to your computer. For audio, we were rocking an MKH50 shotgun mic. It's amazing for indoor work and doesn't need much treatment in post. Our sound mixer laid down a few sound blankets to help mitigate some of the sound reflections, and we had hops on both cameras so we could hear exactly what the mixer was recording. Since we were filming for a series, we obviously needed to match to the older videos to maintain the visual style. In terms of setup, everything was pretty simple. Our key was a SkyPanel S60 with a Chimera paired with quarter grid, going through an 8x with full grid. Intensity was maxed out at 100%, and we also used the intensifier for increased output. I'm always a fan of making a soft source softer. You just have to make sure you have enough output to compensate for the extra diffusion. We picked up a teal 9-foot seamless to use as our backdrop and used two quasar rainbows on either side to light it. The trick to getting an even spread across the entire backdrop is using the inverse square law to your advantage and placing your lights as far as you can from the seamless. In simple terms, the farther the light, the flatter the light. We were a bit limited because of the backdrop size and the additional camera angle, so it wasn't perfectly as even as I would have liked, as shown by the waveform, but it was good enough for our needs. Also, another trick you can use for backdrops is using a white seamless or white cyc and using RGB tubes to quickly change the background color. I've done this a handful of times where we've needed to recycle our background into a few different looks. Whenever you're doing any seamless or green screen work, it's important to get your subject as far away from the background as possible. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of contamination and light bleed that's nearly impossible to key out. Again, when in doubt, inverse square law. We shot at a T4 and 800 EI. Whenever you're doing any seamless work, there usually isn't much need for a shallow depth of field, so I almost always close down more than usual. As I reviewed the footage in post, I thought the teal backdrop looked a little more green screeny than I would have liked, so I hopped into Resolve to generate a LUT for the editor should they choose to use it. I'll generally do this not only to make things easier for the editor, but to also maintain visual integrity, and if the editor doesn't want to use it, no hard feelings. Looking at the final version, however, I'm happy to see they used the LUT. This is another added benefit of using matching camera packages. Since both were set to the same exposure using the same lenses, the LUT works seamlessly. Hopefully this video is helpful in some way. Remote productions like this are becoming a new norm and are definitely here to stay. I might be a bit biased, but I think our episode looks pretty good. As a Vegas native, it was really fun learning about some of the inner workings of a casino and all the different ways people try to beat the system. If you appreciate my content here on YouTube, I've recently started a Patreon to help support the channel and continue the conversation. There will be a handful of exclusive perks as well as a Discord where you can better get in touch with me and the community, so I'm really excited about it. Give it a look, but obviously there's no pressure. I'll still be posting plenty of content here on the channel. Speaking of which, there's a couple of exciting releases over the next few weeks. We have the 600D and FX6 releasing back to back, and I'll of course be providing my thoughts, so be sure to keep it locked on the channel. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.